So, if I'm honest, I didn't know it was a bomb. I think it might have been shock or denial. Heard a high-pressure bang, a fireball's gone over my head, dashed off the train, turned back expecting the carriage to be engulfed. It wasn't, and the emergency services are there, so I went to work.
You go to work?
It wasn't a loud bang, and there was a kind of it sounded like something cracked. Well, when I saw the fireball, that was when I knew, and I just jumped out the door. The doors were still open. It was kind of plasticky, but there was also this kind of foamy smell. That's why I thought, oh, was it a fire hydrant?
On returning to the carriage, he photographed the device. Still partly on fire when these pictures were taken, wires are clearly visible sticking out from the would-be bomb.
To be actually there, and to think how much worse it could have been, I think that's the thing that's going to probably kick home in a little bit.
Heard a bit of a bang, and there was people charging out. Well, I didn't hear a bang, but I just saw everyone charging. Lots of people crying, pictures. Yeah, it was just quite a terrifying moment.
Richard, you were on the tube this morning.
I was totally unaware at first. I was just reading my paper and listening to some music, and then all of a sudden the entire carriage just bundled out. The train had just stopped. Was just charging up to the end of the platform where the exit is. It was just like a complete stampede. So that was the first I knew there was anything wrong had happened. Straight away you start to wonder what's gone on. Why is everybody running? What are they running from? You know, is there somebody waving a machete around or something like that? And once I realised there was no immediate threat, I was able to shoot a bit of video, take some pictures. I realised I was a bit shocked by what had happened. If you want to be in London, if you want to work and live around London, it's just a fact of life.
One of the witnesses here, Emma, who will... Yes.
Well, I got on the train at Parsons Green, where I go every morning on my way to work at Delamar Academy, Ealing Studios. Hello. And I just heard screams as I got on the train, lots of screams. I got off the train and men were shouting, run, and lots of women were screaming. And then it just was a big pile-up on the stairs, and a lot of people were injured. There was a pregnant lady underneath me shouting, I'm pregnant. There was a little boy in his red and black uniform from around here. He must have been 8 years old, little tiny thing. His face smashed into the steps.
You heard the bang?
No, we didn't. No one heard an explosion. We just heard what sounded like the carriage next to us all screaming. Big, like that blood-curdling scream of just seeing something horrible happen, and we all were told to run, so we got off and ran. This was as the doors were closing, so we were trying to get out, the doors opened, and we just ran.
Emma Stevie, you were there this morning. Tell me what happened. What did you see?
I got on the train, and within 5 seconds, the doors were closing, and we just heard the loudest, scariest screams coming from what sounded like the carriage right next to us, and loud men shouting, run. So when people shout, run, you run. And we just all ran for our lives, and we didn't know why. We didn't hear an explosion, and we got to the steps, and it was just the worst. It was like a proper human crush that we all got stuck in, and there was women underneath me. There's a lady saying, I'm pregnant. There's a little boy, his face had got smacked into the step. Little boy, he'd smacked his head into the ground. People went flying. I was holding onto the railing in like a little fetal position, trying not to put my weight on anyone, but there was just layers and layers of people screaming. It was awful. It was just really traumatic, and we didn't know why we were running. I just feel so lucky not that I wasn't the woman, 2 women underneath me.
So you were literally, for anybody who doesn't know this station, it is a very small station. There is one staircase.
So you think hundreds and hundreds of people came off that train into a tiny station to go down a tiny set of steps, and it was just a complete crush. There was women underneath me. There's a lady saying, I'm pregnant. There's a little boy, his face had got smacked into the step. There was just layers and layers of people screaming. It was.
And you were literally trampling on people underfoot?
Literally trampling. There was layers of people underneath me. And the tube men, the guys that work for the underground, all 2 of them, which starts to make me realise we should have more people. But I just thought for a second, it goes through my mind, I'm going to die today. Like, something's going to happen. This is what's going on behind me. Is there someone with a knife? Is there a bomb? No, it was like Hillsborough kind of stacked. I was looking at the women underneath me thinking, you poor thing. Bodies and people, and there was this poor little boy in his red and black uniform. I think he goes to one of the schools around here, and he'd smashed his face and he was screaming and crying, and walked around and said, are you okay to a few people, and everyone was just very shaken, and we didn't know what had happened. We just knew that we ran away because we were told to run away, and then there was this big crush. Lots of people were really injured in the stampede, but the explosion, I only saw victims of the explosion on my way out of the station when we could all get out and it was all cleared. Yeah.
Okay. And what was the atmosphere like? Were people...
Shock, just pure shock. Nobody knew what had happened. And we were
Did you hear the blast?
No.
No.
No one, I don't think unless you were in the carriage, you wouldn't have heard it, because, just screams, running.
So
There were lots of school children in their uniforms, and that was really heartbreaking to see some of them hurt. Hello! I've just seen my friend, I've got to go.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for talking to us.
So we just heard really loud screams, and we were trying to get the doors open because nobody knew, and we heard men just shouting "run" at the top of their voices, and everyone just piled out of the train and sprinted towards the stairs where there was a big pileup. Yeah, it was horrible. There was I can't get it out of my mind seeing this little boy. He got completely flattened and squashed by so many people, and I was so lucky to not be I was upright against the wall, putting all my weight into the wall, and people were just on top of each other. It was horrific. It was just such a blur and such a feeling of, I am about to die.
Terrifying.
There's a man with a bomb strapped to him. You know, all of these thoughts are racing through my mind because nobody knew what we were running away from. So I did think for a few seconds, like, I'm dead.
People were just getting crushed and we were just trampling each other, and it was just every man for themselves.
Listening to some music, and I heard scream immediately, and then I looked and I saw sort of the remnants of a flash and smoke and whatnot, and then people just started running towards me.
People like this young photographer.
Clothes just burnt completely away.
Are you okay? How are you feeling?
I'm very, very shocked, and I'm that moment when people are running towards me and pushing you out the way, and you're unsure of what's happening, you don't know whether to fight or run, and it was that sort of 10 seconds of sheer panic. We saw like a light and then smoke, and the music I was still listening to, and I just pulled my earplug out, and then the screams just got louder and louder, and as people ran past other people, their screams got louder, and it was like a crescendo of noise all the way down the carriage. It's like a flash at the end of the train,
Where were you? You're
about 2/3 down.
Right.
And
you saw a flash?
This sort of a smoke rise, and then it was just a group. Well, it's like a packed commuter train running towards me and our carriage. A bang, and then a flash to my left. And almost immediately, it was sort of a surge of people screaming and running towards me. Young kids being pushed out of the way.
What sort of age were they?
Well, there's loads of prep schools and loads of schools around it.
Yeah, trampled, basically.
Yeah. But then the nannies and the mothers trying to grab them, and it's like every man for themselves. And for head injuries from the stampede, it's got every man for himself when that happened. I just remember the screams of people like being crushed against chaos. It was it was every man for itself to get down the stairs, and it's a very tight exit, as you said. Screams just got louder and louder, and as people ran past other people, their screams got louder, and it was like a crescendo of noise all the way down the carriage and then down the platform. It was chaos. It was it was every man for itself. Personal bottles of water, and they're being poured over burns and stuff like that. Severe burns, quite severe burns. No, the people who were worst injured aren't walking.
Got on, heard a bang, looked around, and this wall of fire is just coming at us. It took up the whole circumference of the carriage. It's just moving in the same carriage. It's hard to explain because it happens in an instant and you run. There were people in it, of course. This fireball is just going over your head and everybody's screaming, and you just run out of the tube as quick as you can. We heard a bang, and all of a sudden a fireball just came at us. and it was so hot, and it just engulfed the whole tube. The fire's just coming, and everybody's screaming, and we run out, and no one knows what's going on. But we were right at the end of the tube, so we just jumped the fences and just ran for our lives. So we're waiting by the carriage doors, and I just heard this bang, and it was loud enough to make me wonder what the bang was. And I looked round, and this wall of fire was just coming towards us, and everybody's running towards the stairs, like where you would enter and exit. But my boyfriend and I we just ran, we jumped the fences, and we just ran down towards Putney Bridge, like along the greenery, and we just jumped into the foliage, like where the stingers were, and just kept running as far as we could. And then we reached a fence, so we just hid behind tubs of concrete or something, like big tubs.
Allison Burry, defense specialist, riding in a nearby car.
Well, as a terrorism expert, you don't really expect to be in a major terrorism incident. The train stopped, the doors opened, we all left as quickly as we could, clear that there was a serious incident. You could tell police immediately started arriving on the scene. They literally arrived instantaneously. What I did see was a lot of small children. There was a small boy who it looked like he'd been crushed, Bill. You know, very frightening to be an adult, let alone a child in a situation like that.
You're painting quite an image for us.
Here with two people who were on the train this morning. Martin Adam is with me right here, and Sally Falding. And Martin, you were actually on the carriage where the explosion took place?
That's correct, yeah. It took place about 10 metres behind me. I was stood by the door, the glass partition behind me. I heard a loud bang, and then as I looked to my right, there was the flame, a fireball sort of came through the carriage.
Through the whole carriage?
Not the whole carriage, it came about level to where I was. But as the doors opened, people then began leaving the train straight away. I could imagine. Martin, you're actually a security expert. How would you assess how people handled the situation? Generally, I thought people dealt with it quite well. They exited the train very, very quickly. I went back to look in the carriage to see if there were any casualties, but there was nobody left in the train.
I couldn't see or hear anything. I just saw from my peripheral vision people just panicking and running and screaming and shouting, and I knew that something had taken place. The doors were just starting to open at the station, so I ran like everybody else did. People actually falling in front of me. I stumbled also, managed to get myself up because my concern was to not be on the floor because there was a stampede behind me as well. Pulling into the station, I just suddenly saw lots of people running towards me, panicked, in panic mode. I knew that something serious had happened. So I stood up, the doors were opening because we were coming into the station. We just arrived, and I dived out myself, but not knowing what I was running away from. I was falling over people myself, and I was just saying to myself, keep upright, because either you're going to be crumpled to death or you've got a madman behind you, because I still didn't know what was going on.
Two teachers, one stopped from work, were near the device as it went off at the back of the train. Described a fireball coming at them down the carriage.
I saw the fire emerge towards my side. So I heard a lady screaming. Suddenly I heard a big bang, and I turned left, and I saw the fireball surge toward my side. The first thing I remember is the sound, explosion sound, and I was literally sit next to the explosion carriage, and I turned my head left, and I saw the fire emerge towards my side. So I literally just stand up, and then I suddenly heard a big bang in my left hand side. So I turned my head, and I saw the big fireball, and I get up immediately towards the door, and the door was open. Yeah, that's very good.
There it is, smouldering. Really bizarre to see it so close like that. In fact, quite a brave person filming it at that close quarter, because you never know whether there's still more to go off. I didn't even know if it was a bomb or not. It could have been simply somebody may have stupidly mixed some chemicals together. Could have been a builder going into work, a tradesman, maybe an electrician, because it was looks like a little plastic bag, an ordinary shopping bag with a plastic tub described as a mayonnaise tub, maybe a paint tub with some bizarre wires sticking out of it or around it, or they could have even been in the bag. You just saw this thing smouldering in the corner.